Welcome to Mature Living. My name is Grace Ortiz, and I work with Adult Protective Services, and I'm also an instructor with El Paso Community College, the Senior Adult Program. Today, I'll be your host. Miss Mary Yanez is out on some much-earned leave, and we're really excited because we have a great program for you today. Today, I have Miss Michelle Wood, and she is with the Texas Historical Commission, and her title is very interesting, Educate and Public Programming Coordinator. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Today we're going to be talking about history, the Magoffin home.
Yes.
We were sitting before the show and talking about it. And you know, in El Paso, there's so many hidden gems.
There are. There's so many places you can go visit. And one of them we highly recommend is the Magoffin home.
You know what? If you could tell us a little bit about it. What is the Magoffin home?
Sure. It is an adobe home built in 1875 by Joseph Magoffin and his wife Octavia. Now, Joseph Magoffin was the fourth mayor of El Paso, but something that I consider more important is he was a naturalized citizen of the United States. He was actually born in Chihuahua, Mexico, and raised there till the age of 8. And they were fluently bilingual in the home. And because of an understanding of both American and Mexican culture, Joseph was able to make El Paso what it is today. And by that, I'm talking about, in particular, first the railroad. In 1881, the first railroad comes to El Paso, and Joseph negotiates to bring that first railroad here to El Paso using his land. Now, the population of El Paso prior to that, in 1880, was 300 people. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
It is. But the next census in 1890, after the train's been here for 8.5 years, there's over 10,000 people. And homes couldn't be built fast enough. Public buildings couldn't be built fast enough, hotels. And so, you know, one of the interesting things is Joseph, he comes to El Paso in debt. It's post-Civil War, Reconstruction era, and he's in debt. But with that negotiation for that train, overnight he becomes wealthy. And he makes himself into the fourth wealthiest El Pasoan.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that's so mind-blowing because, you know, nowadays people don't understand that you can have a dream. And if you really pursue it, you can make it happen. And that's probably what he did. Absolutely.
You know, we like to definitely point out that, you know, he didn't have every advantage, but the advantages he did have, he really was smart enough to use those to not just build his own home and his own wealth, but he really focused on the entire community. He actually wrote the first city charter in 1873 that turned El Paso into a city.
So he has quite a bit of history in making El Paso what it is today.
Absolutely, absolutely. He was a county judge, customs tax collector, which was a federal position. He was justice of the peace. He was mayor, a city alderman. He served in a lot of different capacities. He also helped found the electric company, the gas company, the water company. He sat on the first board of education here in El Paso. There were so many different things that we all kind of take for granted nowadays that he helped establish.
Absolutely amazing. So that's the history on the Magoffin home. And you know, a lot of people don't realize that El Paso has so much history. You just told us a whole lot by just one individual creating this home. So right. In El Paso, the Magoffin home, where is it located at, by the way?
So we're a few blocks south of downtown. We are on Magoffin Avenue between the larger streets are Cotton and near central downtown, like Campbell, in between that area on Magoffin Avenue. So within walking distance of what would have been and are still today the locations of all our courthouses, City Hall, all of that, because of course, but get this, it was out in the country back during Joseph's time.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that it was the country and now it's the heart of the city, right in the middle by all of downtown. Yeah. So tell me, what made it a home, you know, open to the community? What happened from there?
Oh, that's a great question. So there were 3 generations who owned the home. You had Joseph and Octavia. Their daughter Josephine inherited it, and then her daughter Tia inherited it. Now, in 1976, there was a law change that allowed federal, state, and municipal funds to be combined to save cultural heritage sites in the United States, because of course it was the bicentennial, right? And so of course the country was very interested in saving its history. And the Magoffin home was one of those projects here in El Paso where all these different funds were mingled to purchase the home and turn it into a museum. And Tia, the third owner, she was a school teacher. She never married, she never had kids. So the home was really her legacy to the community to share the history of her family and the history of El Paso.
So she was willing to let it become a museum. And
yeah, but she negotiated for life tenancy. So there were 4 rooms in the home that were her private apartments, and they are now on tour. And the rest of the home was the main tour. Now, while she does, this is 10 years she lives in this apartment. And just recently, this has actually been our one of our most recent projects, is to restore her apartment, because her story really in a lot of ways is just as important as her grandfather's.
absolutely. And you know, I would have never thought that they would have allowed her to stay there and for 10 years and be a part of the home.
Yeah, I mean, you're a state employee like me. Can you imagine, as a state employee, you're not just taking care of the home and the history, but you're also taking care of a living family member there as well. And we do have it in the reports. Every once in a while, the site manager would report, Tia's doing well today, she was outside gardening, and they're also taking care of her too.
Oh, wow, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
So now, this is the Magoffin home. It's a museum. Is it open every day, or what are the hours?
So we are open Tuesdays through Sundays from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. is the last tour. And if you show up, we do typically recommend, best chances, if you don't want to have to wait, is show up a little bit before the hour and check in. We do have ticket prices to go into the home. The visitor center is free, and inside the visitor center we have exhibits, lots of information, even a short video to kind of help orient everyone before they go into the home, and that of course is all free. But the tour of the home itself, there is a ticket price.
And how much is that?
So it varies. We have discounts. We have a general adult price is $7, but seniors and veterans are $6, children is $4, but we have a family discount. Whether it's 1 adult, 2 kids, or 2 adults, 1 child, it's $14 as a package. And if you have group tours, give us a call. We have group rates as well. And schools, for teachers, highly recommend. It's $1 per, not just student, but chaperones, teacher, whoever.
Oh, that's a great deal. You know, we were talking, like I said earlier, and I was telling you that a lot of times we, as born and raised from El Paso, we take things for granted. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the things I think I've taken for granted. I need to go out and check it out.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's really interesting. Now, you do the tours, mm-hmm. but I think you guys do so much more as well. What is it that you do?
We do. So part of my title is not just education, but it's programming coordinator. And the reason why is because we have a lot of programs. Some of them are monthly, some of them are seasonal, and some of them are just like a one-off. The monthly ones that we have are yoga. We do those twice a month. They're the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of the month. We also have cooking classes. Now the cooking classes are so fun. They actually are from recipes from the 1898 El Paso cookbook. Get this, El Paso is one of the first publishers of a cookbook that was a fundraiser for the YMCA.
So you guys use the recipes from that book?
We do. And we get to show the difference in how we look at recipes today, because you know, modern recipes, they have all the ingredients listed first and then the directions. This is just the directions with the amount of ingredients mixed in. So you better read once or twice before you try it.
And that's it. You got to get it right.
That's right.
And do you have a good turnout for the cooking class?
Oh, that's one of our most popular events. In fact, we recommend highly call ahead in advance to reserve a spot, because it's typically limited spots available. But we've also got programs like Make a Thing, which once a month we pick a project and we create it. Our next one coming up for April is we're going to be making flower crowns. So we're going to let people and teach them how to use paper to create really beautiful headpieces.
You should do that right at November. Dia de los Muertos.
Oh, that's true too. That would not be a bad idea.
I think that would work.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's always trying to do those flower headpieces for the
Yes.
parade. There's a parade downtown, so it's close by.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Well, it sounds like you have so many things to do. So I do know that there's one more thing you really are looking for. You're looking for volunteers.
Oh, goodness, are we ever. So, we have all this wonderful programming. We have a home we're taking care of. And what we are looking for are people, El Pasoans, who maybe have an hour or two a week that they can donate and come in and work on. We've got different projects, archives, gardening. I mean, there's a huge gamut, helping us with events, all sorts of different, and we try to match the volunteers' interests with the type of projects we put them on.
So who would they reach if they wanted it? Someone out there watching us today says, I want to volunteer. Could they call you?
Absolutely. So you would call 915-533-5147, extension 1002, and you will speak with Rebecca Hendricks. And she's in charge of our volunteer program. She's the volunteer coordinator.
And is there a background check or anything like that, or is it just
No,
volunteer?
there's a form you fill out. It's not a background check, but it is definitely a form you fill out, and a little interview so that she can kind of gauge what kind of things you want to work with, what you're most interested in, and then she'll match you up with those projects.
I'm being biased because I was born and raised here, but I do think that we have a very special city.
Yes.
I think there is a lot to do, and I get really discouraged when I hear people say, there's never anything to do.
I know. There is always something to do. Definitely check out our website, our Facebook page. And even if you want, just give us a call and say, hey, what do you have going on this month? And we'll let you know. But yes, El Paso is a wonderful city, and that's what we use this home to talk about.
And are you all senior friendly?
Oh, absolutely. And we're ADA compliant, so if anyone has any special needs, don't worry, we can take care of you.
Because we love our seniors.
Yes, I agree. In fact, boy, would we love to have senior volunteers too. With world experience and knowledge and understanding, they're going to see the home in a different way than even we will, and we appreciate that.
And I totally agree with you in that sense. They're full of wisdom,
Yes.
and I think they could make a difference at your
Absolutely.
location. Well, this was fun. Thank you so much for joining us today, Michelle.
Oh.
You gave me so much information that now I want to go and check it out.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, come visit us, Grace.
I will. Thanks again for being here, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that falls are the most common cause of death for construction workers? These deaths can be prevented. If you work in the construction industry, don't miss the opportunity to participate in the Fall Stand Down this May 1st through 5th. The Stand Down is an opportunity for employers and workers to have a conversation about training, job hazards, and fall protection. Participation is not limited to the construction industry, and no business is too small to participate. The virtual events are free and open to the public. Participate now. Visit osha.gov/prevent falls.
Welcome back. I'm hoping you're enjoying the show. We've got another great speaker for you today. His name is Mr. Jose Baltazar, and he mentioned that he's an instructor for the Senior Adult Program, and I know you gave me something else. What else do you do?
Oh, I work for the first year experience program in the credit side of the college.
Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We're
Thank
going to
you.
be talking about a very interesting topic, and it's all about stress. I know that all of us have it in one way, shape, or form, but we're going to get, I guess, into the weeds of it. And so I was wondering if you could tell me your definition or perspective of stress. How do you look at stress?
Okay, well, stress affects everybody, like you said. Nobody is exempt from stress. What matters is how we deal with the stressful situations. But one way that I look at stress is there's three kinds of stress. Okay, one is external. I call it external, from external situations that happen to us. So anything that gets us tense, or that gets us out of control, or that we feel pain or negative emotions, very emotional about, that's created from external situations, right? The other type of stress is stress from within. We as human beings create stress. So how we deal with this internal stress has to do, goes beyond the standard stress management aspect that we get taught, that we learn from workshops and things like that. Most of the stress training has to do with controlling the stress from the outside. What a lot of stress instructors or teachers or forget about is to teach how do we manage stress from the inside. And so from the outside, I said there's three. So there's two types of outside stress. There's temporary stress, which is a situation that happens, creates stress in us, and then it goes by and we just kind of get back into our lives. The other ones are long-term stressful situations. Those are the most harmful ones. But either type of stress can be managed effectively to prevent the damages. Every illness, without exception, is connected to some form of stress.
Every illness.
Every illness, every pain, everything that my body feels and registers it has stress has an effect on that.
And you know, I was seeing that you have a doctorate in mind-body medicine, and tell me, mind-body medicine, what is that?
Right, mind-body medicine has to do with studying. Mind-body medicine studies the connection or the effect that the mind has on the body and that the body has on the mind. Because they're connected, we cannot separate them. Our brain manages our whole body and everything that happens within it or in it. So mind-body medicine studies this connection between the mind and the body and the mind, so that when they know this connection, and they're called fancy words, mechanisms of action, but what that means is what happens when talking about stress, what happens between the mind and the body when we experience a stressful situation. Once they know that, we can design mind processes, mind-driven processes that can affect the body and the mind positively. And so that's how a lot of healing comes about when we use mind-body medicine.
So since COVID, I've seen so many things now out in the community, especially television, where now it's being much more addressed, mindfulness, and they keep talking about it. I think that we went through a lot of stress, all of us, in one way, shape, or form regarding COVID. We were affected by it. And I'm going to give you an example. When it comes to stress and me, man, I'm a trooper when it's really bad stress. I mean, I'm in it. I'm like, everybody looks at me and says, wow, you did good. But when it's over, what do you think happens to me? I fall apart. Okay. I catch a cold, or I'm just not myself. I can't say it's depression. I physically don't feel well. And so I'm now hearing what you're saying about mind and body, and it's true. But do we learn this as children, or do our parents teach this, or as adults do we have to learn this?
Learn
how to deal with stress.
Connection?
Yeah, and the connection.
Okay. Well, we learn it through the environment that we grow up in. So we either learn how to control it effectively, meaning it doesn't affect my health so much, or I learn to control it, but under a lot of pressure. So I'm able to deal with the situations, I'm able to come out of them successfully, but it has had such an effect in me that now, you know, I get a cold, or people even develop chronic diseases from going through stressful situations. So, but technically and training-wise, we really don't learn it as a child. What makes us the kind of person we are and how we respond to stress, let's put in case of the stress, is my environment. Who raised me? Who did I grow up with? Who did I learn from without realizing it? things like that. Because our environment is the best teacher for us, for good or for bad, when we're children.
It makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Do you have any other examples that you could give me regarding stress and the mind-body experience?
Well, talking from the negative side, okay, I see a lot of people that express what you just expressed. Okay? But I also see a lot of people that they have chronic diseases, but they don't know why, or they don't know what is the root of it. And so they're just taking medication to deal with it. So what we do in mind-body medicine, or the profession, okay, I'm not the developer of the techniques. These are researchers that actually research this connection, and they develop interventions. And so then we use them to help people, in this case, control stress. And so from the positive side, okay, I've seen lots and lots of, I've been in the mind-body practice for almost 10 years now. And I teach consistently classes in the senior program, for example, like this class, mm-hmm. right? I'm seeing people who their blood pressure has gone normal, their A1C and their sugar levels are much more in control, and they share them, because I don't just teach them, we share how we're learning and how it's helping us. People that have been able to lose weight, now they're losing weight just from the training that they're going through, and things like that.
Could you give me an example of more or less what the training is like?
Okay, so you said mindfulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go with that. Mindfulness is a form of meditation.
Okay.
And mindfulness is the most researched type of meditation. Mindfulness just means being able to concentrate, pay attention, and be aware. Okay, so what does that mean? So in the case of me having, let's say, diabetes, right? Some people have a lot of trouble. In this class, one lady shared that she's been able to control the kind of food that she consumes, because she was having trouble staying in control. She goes for the sugary stuff and those kinds of things. So people struggle with a diet, even though they know what the diet is. So, but specifically, and to make it short, what I teach in the class is I teach, for example, a form of mindfulness where people focus their attention on whatever disease they have, and they become aware that body connection, mind-body connection, can help them heal from this. And then they also can visualize the result that they want. So it's three things that they do in this case. And so it's a meditation that they do for about 10 or 15 minutes in class. But the idea is that once they learn that strategy, they need to practice it for so many weeks. And this is mind-body medicine, not meditation, okay?
Okay.
So for this to be effective for a person, for most people, it takes from 8 to 10 weeks of continuous practice, at least once a day. But sometimes it happens a lot sooner. This lady, we're in our 7th week, and she's been practicing. And she's the one that's saying, my A1C is normal, my blood pressure has regulated, and the doctor has reduced the medication for her. And so all these benefits that she's receiving from practicing this, in addition to taking the medication that she's taking. So mind-body medicine does not preach not using regular medicine or traditional medicine. They work hand in hand. So we even call mind-body medicine a complementary therapy. Okay. So it's these kinds of trainings that we do. So in the class, I teach like 10 different methods. And then they can choose the one they like better for them. And they just run with it. The ones who run with it, it's amazing what happens.
They do great.
Yeah.
You know, people don't understand that our minds are so powerful.
Well,
so powerful, you know, and I'm a true believer that if you think positive things, things will have a better outlook. But if you're constantly being negative,
Right.
and there's those people that you ask them, how are you doing? And what do they tell you? Everything that's wrong. Oh, I woke up, the traffic was horrible, I feel bad.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor and they told me that I have this now. And so I think what you're mentioning is also very important. You're teaching people how to use their mind.
Well, that's the idea, yeah.
That's the idea, the concept, right?
Really, what heals you from traditional medicine is the fact that you believe that it's going to work for you. It's not so much the medicine itself. And one way that's becoming more and more evident is that nowadays they're releasing medications with 60, 70% efficacy. So that's 30% that doesn't work for them.
Oh, and I was going to ask you that. There's got to be some people out there that probably, they want to start working with you, but they're going to dig in their heels and make it hard for themselves.
Maybe.
Maybe. So let me ask you
we
this.
work with those who come forth.
And that's wonderful.
Right.
So do you only work with EPCC students or you're open to anybody?
No, I see quite a few EPCC. When I was working full-time, I saw a lot of students. Now that I'm working part-time, I see a few, or quite a few. But I work with adults. I have a side or part-time practice on my own that I work with non-students.
Okay. Would you like to share your phone
practice.
number, or if someone had wanted more information or wanted to schedule a session with you, would you like to share that?
For adults, for non-students
Correct,
of the community
non-students.
college, is 915-694-6109. It's my cell number.
That's your cell number.
Right.
And they can call you and
You can call me anytime. If I don't respond, please leave a text with your name and phone number, and I'll return the message.
That's good. And how long does a session usually, working with someone, is everybody different, or is it just a standard amount of time?
Everybody's different. I work with people. I mean, the standard set of meetings that we do is 6 to 8 meetings, weekly meetings from 1 hour to 2 hours. But I work with a lot of people that in half an hour, once they tell me what's happening with them, in half an hour I can start teaching them strategies. There's others, the people that, because like I said, stress is connected to every illness. So we try to find that what's causing the stress in this person,
The trigger.
that's triggering the disease. So once we find it, we can recommend the strategies to do that. So for some people, it's 1 hour. For other people, could be 2 hours every meeting. But I rarely have seen 2 hours. 1 hour probably at the most.
Wow. Well, I want to say thank you for being here today and giving us some insight on how to deal with stress. You know, it's just been one of those, I guess since, like I said, COVID, all of us have been trying to figure things out. And things have changed for so many. Some of us have lost family. And so I think people should give you a call if they can't deal with the stress.
We know that COVID, the problem was immunity. Well, these strategies strengthen your immunity.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was very interesting. I want to say thank you for joining us today. We're sending some well thoughts to Miss Mary on her vacation, and I hope that our program educated you and inspired you and enlightened you. I wish you the very best, and we'll see you next week.